A big problem in marriage and in life in general is the disorder in priorities. Disorder in priorities. You know that our life needs order, needs discipline. Everything needs it. With certain things, if you mess up the order, you will ruin everything. For you to put on your clothes in the morning, first you need to put on your socks and then your shoes. If you put on your shoes first and then you want to put on your socks, it's going to be difficult, strange. You will ruin your socks, yes or no? If you want to make something to eat, that first involves cooking something. First, you have to cook the food, and then afterwards, you'll be able to add the other ingredients. But you don't want to cook first. You just want to already mix all the ingredients together beforehand. You will ruin the dish. And it's like this in many areas of life. First things first. First, you do one thing so that afterwards you can do something else. In other words, order, priorities. And one of the biggest problems in life and in marriage is exactly the disorder and the messing up of priorities. Let's see what Jesus said in the Holy Bible. In Matthew 22, verse 36, a man asked Jesus the following: Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Which is the greatest commandment in the law? What is the most important? And Jesus said to him, what? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. Note the emphasis on the word all. How many times does it say the word all? With all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. Or in other words, the most important thing of all, the greatest commandment, the most important, is to love God with all you have and all that you are. All of your mind, your heart, your soul, all of your life. You have to love with all your strength. This love is not the love of just words. It's not a feeling that you say, I love Jesus. You put on that t-shirt that says, I love Jesus. This doesn't mean anything. The word love in the Bible is linked to fidelity, loyalty. You are loyal to the person that you love. It's not about feeling something. Feeling. Like that new song by Gustavo Lima he released. I don't know if it was purposely coincided with the separation from his wife. That part of that song that says, we don't have those goosebumps anymore. Our relationship doesn't give us goosebumps anymore. There are no more goosebumps. If we depended on goosebumps to maintain a relationship, my friend, look, I'll give you a tip. Put on the air conditioning, Gustavo. Put it in a cooler setting. Yes or no? And get ready before on top of the bed. If you think it's goosebumps that will sustain your marriage, this isn't love. This isn't the type of love we are talking about here. True love has to come with loyalty. To be loyal, I give my word to my wife. I gave my word to my husband. The word that I will be in a partnership through better or through worse. All the things that you know that are said on the wedding day, they exchange vows. And what is a vow? It's words. They exchange vows, promises, but afterwards they forget everything. They are not loyal to their own words. True love, the biblical love, is linked to fidelity. I will be with you whatever happens. We will go through everything together. I won't leave you. I won't jump ship. I won't turn my back on you. I won't betray you. I won't abandon you. This is love. Does this have anything to do with goosebumps? No. This has to do with character. With your character, with your word, with your honor. It's this type of love that Jesus is talking about here. The biggest commandment is not for you to say, I love you, Jesus. The biggest commandment is for you to live in a way that proves, that shows that God is the most important person to you. There is no one above him. You are not above God. Nothing and no one is above him for you. Your whole life is for him, to him, and because of him. This is love in the sense of the Bible. The greatest commandment of all is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, for me to love my neighbor, I have to love myself first. Self-love is a requirement to love any other person. This self-love isn't that exaggerated love, that narcissistic love, a person that looks in the mirror and asks, is there anyone more good-looking than me? No, it's not this type of love. It's not narcissism. It's not egotism. On the contrary, it's you knowing your value. It's knowing that before you can love someone, you have to know how to love yourself, that you spend the most time with, which is yourself. You need to understand this, because if you don't, you won't be able to love anyone. A few years ago, I discovered this. I discovered that wherever I go, I'm there. I don't know if you've noticed this about yourself. If you say, I'm going to the church today. Oh, look who I bumped into here. You're going to the temple and you find yourself there. In a little while, you will go home. You will go somewhere else. You will find yourself there too. In other words, you are the only person that you're always with. So you have to know how to live with yourself. You have to know how to look after yourself. You have to know who you are, your value, without turning this into idolizing yourself. So when Jesus says to love your neighbor is the second greatest commandment, to love your neighbor as yourself, how can you love someone if you don't yet love yourself? You haven't discovered this love that you have for yourself, this fidelity, this loyalty, this care for yourself. So Jesus, within these two greatest commandments, he put each thing in its right place. He gave us the priorities of life, how we should conduct our lives and relationships. It's God in first place. God is first in my life. Then in second place comes myself. I have to be well within myself because I can't help anyone if I'm in need of help. I can't help anyone if I am dying. So, in second place, it's me. And in third place, if I'm married, comes my neighbor. The person closest to me is my wife. There's no one closer to me than my wife. Our son isn't closer to us than each other. Of course, if you're single, you have a person that is closer to you. Maybe your mother, your father, your sibling, the one closest to you. But whoever is married, the closest one to you is your partner. So you can see the order of things. And when you start to put your life in this order, so your life starts to go right. But a big reason for problems in marriages and in the lives of people in general is that they mess up this order. They don't put things in the right order. God maybe isn't even on the list. The husband is in first place. Is the wife in the first place? Is not God. Work comes before the husband, before the wife. So the order is messed up, like I used to do in regards to our marriage. When we had problems in our marriage, one of the things that caused friction between us was that I considered my work as number one in my life. My life was like this: God, work, me, and after Christianity. This was the order that was in my life. So it's obvious that because of this mess, of this disorder, we would have problems because she would feel left out in the relationship. She felt like something optional and not like a person that had gotten married to be loved. Like a woman who felt like the most important person in her life is her husband.
And this stayed because I also had this order very wrong, because I had God in first place. But after God, it was Renato. And I was after. So when you place your husband, your partner, before you, obviously, you're always going to be feeling inferior to them because he's more important than yourself. So I felt less. I thought that any woman could be in my place, that he could change me easily. I had insecurity. This disorder in our relationship caused a lot of problems because many people, they complain about things like, oh, I'm jealous. She's jealous of me. He doesn't give me attention. He doesn't talk to me. We don't have communication. You think that the problem is there, but the problem is way underneath. The problem is in the disorder of priorities. One or both are not prioritizing the right way. You see that many people, when they hear, oh, you need to love yourself, you need to value yourself, you need to respect yourself so that afterwards you can do this with another person. When a person doesn't have God in first place, this is also a problem in the relationship. Because she's going to mistreat people so that she could feel better. This person needs to be less than me, inferior to me. But when God is in first place, you don't have to treat people bad. You respect people because of him, because of your relationship with him. So you don't treat people bad. Meaning, the disorder there is not just you knowing to value yourself, to love yourself, so that afterwards you can love your husband, your wife. It's for you to also put God in first place, because if you don't do that, if God is not in first place in your life, you are going to become a person that's going to be very impossible to live with, because you're going to be your God. Everything is going to have to be your way of how you think. Your will has to reign in this relationship. No one can take that. No one. So God has to be in first place, so that you can't do bad to your relationship, so that you can know how to respect people as well. You need to also respect yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to do what is right for yourself, but also for the people around you. So this order is what is missing in society today. People removed God. God is not there anymore. So the order has been, or husband, boyfriend in first place, or I, myself in first place, or work, money, fame, something. But it doesn't work. First place always has to be God. Anything else in first place, it's not going to work. After that, it has to be you. Not because you're better than people, but for you to be able to do for people, first you need to do it for yourself. You need to know how to do it for yourself. So if you don't know how to respect yourself, how are you going to respect your husband, your wife? If you don't control yourself with addictions, with certain habits that are bad for you, how are you going to control yourself with your husband, your wife? So that's why you first need to take care of yourself, so that afterwards you can take care of someone else. But not as if you're God. No. First God, then you, then your partner.
In other words, you answer to someone. You are not God. You are not God. You answer to someone. You have God above you. You fear God. You abide by His rules, by His laws. So you're not a person who is arbitrary. You're not a dictator. It's not because you have to love yourself first that you have to have everything your way. No, you are subject to the one that you serve. God is above everything. Remember, first you have to love God. So, if I want to truly love God, I won't do something that displeases Him. So, how can I love God first, for example? Let's say I say that I love God first, but how can I love God if I mistreat my wife? If I curse, if I lie, if I betray her, if I don't give her any attention. In other words, whatever I do that does harm to my wife, can this please God? This doesn't please God. So I will not do it. It's not just because I love her, but firstly because I love God. Because I don't want to ruin my relationship with God, so I won't do anything that will interfere with our relationship. So I would treat her well because this pleases God. The wife will treat her husband well, not because he deserves it at times. At times he doesn't. He deserves to be hit over the head with a saucepan. Don't do this. But it's not because he deserves it. It's because you, wife, that fears God, that loves God above everything, knows that because of your love for God, you will treat your husband well. Because you want to please God. So this is how priorities in life teach us what we have to do.
This is what it is to bulletproof your marriage. This is to bulletproof. This is the secret of my marriage with Renato. This is our secret. This is the secret of the marriage of my parents. This is our secret. Our secret is here. God in first place. If you have God in first place, you're not going to betray, to lie. You're not going to do anything that people have been doing out there in their relationships. You're not going to do it. You're going to respect your husband because God teaches us that. You're going to respect your husband. A man is going to love his wife, take care of her because it's written, because God shows us that. So God in first place. And second, me, I have a relationship with myself. When that happened in my life, when I learned to also love myself, to value myself, to see that I had value, that I'm not inferior to Renato. You know, one of the problems of many women that say, oh, no man's gonna tell me what to do. I don't need marriage. I don't need a relationship. Many women say this because they're hurt. Deep down, you feel inferior. So they prefer to be alone because they feel inferior. When you know your value, when you love yourself, like the second commandment that God taught us, you don't need to raise flags, woman. You're going to know. You're not going to need for everybody else to know. You're not going to need for others to respect you. You're going to respect yourself. Many people talk bad about me. It doesn't make a difference in my life. Many people don't respect me. It doesn't make any difference because I respect myself. But when we don't have this relationship with ourselves, we need other people. We need people's opinions. We need people to approve of us because we don't have it from ourselves. So when you have it from yourself, you're protecting yourself as well from everyone else. You're protecting yourself. So God, you, and then you can also make somebody else happy. You can give your best because you know what the best is. You know what value is. You know to love yourself. So you can love someone else. If that person hurts you or wants to remove you from that relationship with God, so that person is going to have to leave. Because first is him, then me, and after them. So there's no way that that person that has this right order is going to suffer abuse. There isn't a way for her to submit herself to abuse. Because she herself, she respects herself. So even loving that person that mistreats them, she's not going to submit herself to that person, to the hurt of that person because of that order. So see that this order is the secret. It's the secret of bulletproofing your marriage. It's a secret that everyone should put, to prioritize in their life. If this is in order correctly, you're not going to suffer. You're not going to do bad towards yourself. You're always going to be keeping and protecting yourself.
A wife came to us, asked us for some help some time ago. She brought us the following problem. Her husband had left her, and she fell into depression after her husband left. And she started to do everything to try and bring her husband back. She implored, she would send messages, she would humiliate herself until the point that she attempted suicide. She attempted suicide. Thank God she wasn't successful. And soon after she attempted suicide, she came to us for help. But what did she ask help for? She came asking, Renato and Chris, please tell me what I have to do to bring back my husband. And we explained to her, your problem isn't that your husband left you. If your husband returned today, he would find a woman that is depressed, a woman that doesn't love herself, and if he's a good man, he would, at best, feel sorry for you and stay with you out of pity. And if he's a bad man, he will take advantage of everything you have because you are in his hands. He is your God. Your husband is your God. That's why when he left, your life stopped. So we tried to make her see that she didn't have any order in her life. Everything was a mess. Who was in first place in her life? Her husband. Where was she? In last place, feeling like rubbish. I don't have my husband, so my life isn't worth anything. Children? Forget children. Relatives? Forget the relatives. The rest of her life, all the rest didn't even make it to the list. God also didn't appear on the list at all because a person that attempts suicide, when God says, "Thou shalt not murder," the person messes up the order of things, so her life also becomes a mess and it becomes hell. This is the result. For this reason, we always teach that, strictly speaking, relationship problems don't exist. They don't exist. Marriage problems don't exist. What exists? What exists are two problematic people desperately trying to change each other. This is what people call marriage problems. But in reality, it's a personal problem. What was my problem? For me, my success was related to my work. If I was having success at work, I would consider myself a successful man. So I put all my efforts into my work. And Christiane, if I didn't have time for her, if she complained for me, it was like she was complaining about nothing because I wasn't drinking, I wasn't playing games, I wasn't addicted, I wasn't betraying her, I was a good man. I was working in the church, I was helping people. So what was she complaining about? The problem was her. So for 12 years, she would be complaining, and I would throw the complaint back at her saying, "But what are you complaining about? You should be on your knees with your hands raised, thanking God for the good husband that you have." How blind a person can be. Isn't that right? But why? Because I couldn't see. I didn't have the understanding that I'm passing on to you today. This understanding I didn't have. And when we don't have understanding, when we don't know, when we make mistakes, thinking that we are doing the right thing, when we make the biggest mistakes in life with all our strength and pride, thinking that we are doing the right thing because of ignorance. So let's expand our understanding. When did our marriage change? When we changed this order. I understood that first was God, second was me, third was my wife, and fourth was my work, and then the rest of the things.
And you understand that it was you, like the relationship with me. Because Jesus says the relationship with the person next to you, like yourself. So it's the same. What you do for yourself, you do for the other person.
We are just one. The married couple is just one flesh. So there isn't one part of the body that is more important. All the parts are important because it is one body only. Each part would be missed. Everything that is part of your body is there for a reason, so it would be missed. So take care of that. So put order in your relationship. Put order in your life.